Hello there. I just thought I'd do another video just to answer another common objection that's used by those who feel the need to defend Watchtower, and I've even heard it by one of my own family members. And that's the argument, oh, it's wrong to speak against the governing body because you're speaking against God's anointed ones. So there's some kind of almost superstitious feeling that by saying negative things about the governing body I'm somehow blaspheming against God. So I just wanted to, help people reason through this kind of argument. And what most people think about when they think about speaking against God's anointed ones is the account in Numbers 16 about the sons of Korah, who, if you remember, rose up against Moses and Aaron and said, oh, we've had enough of your authority. And what actually happened was that God intervened himself directly, and the ground swallowed up these men. So if you were a bystander to these events, you'd have absolutely no doubt in your mind whatsoever that Moses and Aaron were God's appointed leaders, because God had intervened himself to reinforce their authority. And going on through the Bible, you think of other individuals, you think of Jesus, who recognized the need to give evidence through miracles that he had God's authority. There was also the voice that came down out of heaven where God said, "This is my son, the beloved, whom I have approved." And then he handpicked his apostles, and his apostles also performed miracles, and they wrote under inspiration. When you compare all of these characters who represented God in the Bible to the governing body falls completely short, because they don't perform miracles, they don't fulfill prophecies, and all they basically do is say we're God's anointed ones without offering any evidence whatsoever. And one common objection that's raised when you say, why don't the governing body perform miracles? Why don't we see miracles in our day? You often hear witnesses refer to 1 Corinthians 13 verse 8, where it talks about how gifts of prophesying would cease, tongues would cease, and knowledge would cease. But when that which is complete arrives, that which is partial will be done away with. And if you actually, read that scripture, it doesn't say anywhere that there will be no more miracles before the end comes. It simply says that prophesying will cease, because once the thing that's been prophesied arrives, there'll be no more need for prophesying. Tongues will cease, because in the new world there will be no need for languages, and there will be no need for special knowledge, because everyone will know the same thing. So that's what that scripture means. It doesn't have anything to do with miracles ending. It's very convenient for Watchtower to apply it in that way, because then they're off the hook in terms of offering evidence, but I'm not buying it for one moment. Now, I wanted to share with you a Watchtower article. It's actually questions from readers in the 2011 Watchtower, August 15th. Because the interesting thing is, when you think about the governing body, they all claim to be anointed Christians. In fact, it's impossible to serve on the governing body without being an anointed Christian. But how do the governing body members refer to their fellow anointed ones, who, let's face it, will apparently be co-ruling with them in heaven over the entire planet at some point in the future? Well, in this Questions from Readers article, excuse the noise, in this Questions from Readers article, it says, a number of factors, including past religious beliefs or even mental or emotional imbalance, might cause some to assume mistakenly that they have the heavenly calling. So think about that for a moment. The governing body is saying that you shouldn't just accept that someone is a Christian of the heavenly calling just because they're partaking of the emblems. They're saying there might be some mental or emotional imbalance. Well, why on earth can't the same argument be used against the individual members of the governing body? Why are they somehow immune or insulated from the same kind of criticism? It's extremely arrogant and small-minded for them to criticize others who claim to be of the heavenly calling without applying any kind of scrutiny to their own claims. So I'd ask you, if you're a witness watching this video, to just think about that. How can it be that they ask us to blindly accept that they are God's anointed Christians, but ask that you not accept that argument with regards to other memorial partakers? So basically, what I'm saying is that if you want to revere the governing body as being God's anointed, without them providing any evidence whatsoever of any tangible kind that they are God's anointed ones, that is entirely your decision. What you can't do is expect me to have the same level of credulity, or indeed anybody else, because it has to be based on evidence. If all you need to do to be God's anointed is say, I am God's anointed, I have God's Spirit, I am taking the lead in his earthly organisation, then you can pretty much take your pick of any religion, because you will find that most religions have individuals taking the lead who make very similar claims, and yet we're supposed to just completely blindly follow the governing body when they make these claims themselves. It has to be based on evidence. So if you're a witness watching this, I'd ask that you please do your research. Ask yourself, do the claims that these men are making match up with the way their organisation is behaving itself? And just try and think objectively. Thanks for watching.